In light of the bushfires down south, Consumer Protection has been warning West Australians to be wary of scammers who might try to set up fake charity fundraisers. It's been nearly a year since the flood in the Kimberley, where scammers also sought to take advantage with fake social media accounts and fake donation websites. There were also scams targeting victims of the flood who were looking for assistance. This week is National Scams Awareness Week, and the amount of money that Australians lose to scams is pretty staggering. Alex Zaharov-Royce is the editor of techadvice.life. Morning, Alex.
Good morning, Eddie.
Just how much money are Australians losing to scams?
Well, it's crazily enough, it's huge amounts. I mean, this year there's already been $92 million stolen from Australians thus far. There were over 81,000 reports made to the scamwatch.gov.au site. And in separate but related news, the Australian Communications and Media Authority, ACMA, reported that 336 million scam texts were blocked over the last year by Australia's telecommunications companies. But all of that is still not enough. The scammers still managed to find ways to get through and are preying on Australians.
Yeah, what are those ways? What are the most common sorts of scams?
Sure. Well, 3 in every 4 of the scam reports received by Scamwatch are impersonation scams. So this sees criminals pretending to be people that we should trust. Now, most of these impersonation scams come by text message, and obviously we'll be getting huge numbers more if it wasn't for the work of the telcos in blocking these. But people are posing as family or government organisations or road toll companies, and scammers are also posing as banks, causing and those, impersonations of banks are causing some of the highest losses because people get text messages saying, we've blocked an attempt to transfer money from an account. Please transfer your money to a safe account, when it really should be safe in the account you already got. And for some reason, people are getting caught by this and transferring money to somebody else's account, not realising that somehow that it's not theirs. And then they're losing huge amounts of money. And because the scammers are pretending to be trusted brands or recruiters or government organisations or friends or family, they're preying upon people's willingness to give people the benefit of the doubt or the fear that something bad's about to happen and prey on them in that vulnerable moment.
So some are more sophisticated or less obvious than others. How can you try to protect yourself against being scammed?
Sure. Well, Scamwatch is asking for people to stop and think. If it doesn't seem right, I mean, you either should ignore these messages, you should delete and block numbers that come through, although the scammers will use a different number each time. Keep scrolling, they say. You're also advised to never click on any links that are in text messages or emails that you weren't expecting. And even if you have to hang up on somebody, if that feels hard, it's okay to tell them that you'll call back on the main number, even if you don't. But do whatever you need to do to end that conversation. And just be careful and realise that most of the time when people are ringing you, especially out of the blue, they're not ringing to help you. They're ringing to see if they can help themselves to the money that's in your wallet. So it's really, that you've got to be so careful. People are trying to take advantage of you, and it's a sad world that we live in that is like that, but that's the reality of life in 2023.
I'm speaking with Alex Zaharov-Royce. He's the editor of techadvice.life, and the federal government at the moment is also reviewing its unfair trading laws, but consumer advocacy groups are calling for strong new fairness laws to close some gaps in Australian consumer law. What's the issue here?
Well, 7 in 10 people mistakenly believe that businesses are already required to treat you fairly. You would think that should be under the law, but it's not. And, there's something called the Australian Consumer Law, and that actually has an application in place where a lot of people will be told that they have a 1 or a 2 year warranty on their smartphone or fridge or TV or whatever it might be. And you're often pushed to buy some sort of an extended warranty from the major retailers, which can often be quite worthless. And but not always, of course, but usually they make a lot of money from that, and you can actually claim a warranty if a product has already gone past its manufacturer's warranty because of the fact that it should have lasted for longer. Like your TV should last more than 5 years, for example. If it conks out after a couple of years and you're in your 3rd year and you're in the year after your manufacturer's warranty, you actually are still covered. But there's research from Choice magazine and other consumer groups, and they're seeing that 69%, 7 in 10 people mistakenly believe that businesses face penalties if they've been found to have acted unfairly, which is not the case. 89% said businesses charging you higher prices for a product or service based on the personal information they've collected about you online is unfair. And in fact, the ACCC did a big fine of about $15 million against the company today that was found to be artificially manipulating the prices it was charging to repair things. So, those sorts of things are illegal. 90% of people said that businesses that make it difficult for you to cancel your online subscription to a product or service that you no longer want is unfair. And 84% said businesses selling extended warranties that don't cover you for anything in addition to what is already available under the Australian consumer law that we spoke about is also unfair. So these consumer organisations want the government to make it clearer and safer and less unfair against consumers. And other countries do have some of these protections. And there are also countries, for example, I've got relatives living in Hong Kong, and they have vastly different consumer protection laws to us. I mean, these groups are calling for stronger laws, but in Hong Kong, for example, you don't have the same right to take products back to a store, because what happens in some of those countries is that people will buy something from a shop, like a smartphone, and then they'll change all the parts inside to fake parts and try and return it. And so the companies there have gotten smart, and they basically don't want to don't let you easily return things. But in Australia, you can return things. You can return things for change of mind reasons, and there is a link on my site to the Australian consumer law that you can read about it. But these organisations want that law to be stronger and tougher, and so they're calling on the government to do that in the middle of it reviewing these rules and regulations.
Now, I don't know if an artificial intelligence shopkeeper would be any fairer or less fair, but a major milestone for one of the most prominent platforms of AI this week.
Yes, ChatGPT was launched into beta on November the 30th, 2022. That's last year. So 1 year and 1 day old. And in that time, there's been incredible change. The CEO, Sam Altman, was famously about a week and a bit ago sacked by his board. Then they asked him to come back. Then he was to be hired by Microsoft. And now he's back as the CEO. And he put a tweet out saying, wow, what a year it's been. And the reason why he was sacked in short is because the board felt that there was some sort of development with artificial intelligence potentially on the road to gaining consciousness that they weren't being informed about, which all sounds very sort of mysterious, and we still don't know the real reason why he was sacked. But in that year, there's been a plethora of different players in the space, Microsoft and Google. There's even something called Pika.art, which is a text-to-video generator. If you type in Pika.art, you can sign up for the wait list. But there's a 54-second video that shows you the results when someone's typed in Elon Musk in a 3D animation or a dog in space. I mean, if you just watch this 54-second video, that was all created by this system that took what people typed in, and the more descriptive of a prompt, they call it, that you type in, the better a result. And this time next year, in a year's time, we are going to see, I'm convinced of it, TV shows and movies created by people sitting at home typing stuff into a computer, and it's going to be as compelling and probably better than some of the stuff we get out of Hollywood today. So it's we're living in incredible times, and the way that we know computing today is going to completely change over the next 12 months, even more than it already has.
Hope they're not making radio shows. Alex Zaharov from techadvice.life. Appreciate you having a chat this morning.
Thank you very much, Eddie. Talk to you again. Bye-bye.
Alex is the editor of techadvice.life. Off the SMS regarding scams, 0448 922 604, Marie in Carnarvon says every morning for the past few weeks she's been receiving a text message requesting that she pay her freight account that she hasn't got. So she blocks the number every day. But then the next morning she gets yet another text. It's pretty annoying, says Marie. Yeah, it would be. 0448 922 604. I've got to say, I somehow earlier in the year ended up on some sort of call list where basically all day, every day, I was getting calls asking me to donate to this charity or do this survey or do this, that or the other thing. And I started ignoring them, but they keep calling. I figured out if you answered the call and told the person, could you please take me off your list, suddenly those phone calls dried up.